Live. Thanks for joining us this morning. Today is July the 9th, and I'll start off by wishing my wife a happy 37th anniversary today. 37 years ago today, we tied the knot at Sharp Chapel at the University of Tulsa. Dwayne was there, he remembers it well. And it's been 37 years of marriage, and it's been 37 years of me fulfilling my role as being the trophy husband, and I've been honored to do so. But just happy anniversary. My beautiful wife's here. She takes all the prayer notes. You know, after our messages, we always go into a prayer team meeting, and every week she works diligently all week gathering prayer requests and prayer notes. So you can always put your prayer request in the message, and we'll add you to the list. You can always send us a note through one of our Facebook pages. Or if you actually go to our website, inspirethespirit.org, there's actually a prayer request form you can fill out and submit it. You can be anonymous. You can put as much, put as little information as you want, whatever you're comfortable with. But we will pray for you and your request as a team. Now, with today being July 9th, here's an interesting fact. We are closer to the year 2050 than we are to the year 2000 right now. 2050 is closer than 2000. Now, how many of you remember the year 2000? We had Y2K. Businesses were paying millions of dollars because we thought the systems were going to crash. We didn't know at the stroke of midnight if the power was going to go out because we didn't know if the electrical grids and phone lines were even programmed to handle it. A couple of you in here were just young kids. But that's further away from us than 2050. Now think about 2050. Where are you going to be 25 years from now? Be careful how you answer that. Because I thought about that. I was like, I just hope I'm still here, you know. But think about 2050. Because you're closer to then than you are Y2K. Think about your children. How old they are. Add 25 years to your children's life. Cole, you're going to be a grandfather in 25 years, most likely. You that have grandkids are going to have great-grandkids 25 years from now. Some of us will be great-grandparents. Where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? What's your life? When at 2050, is somebody going to say, remember 2025? Where were you? What were you doing? How's your life played out in these past 25 years? Our children will grow. We'll have grandkids, great-grandkids. The families will expand. And life moves very fast and very quickly. And with that, we want to offer our thoughts and prayers to the state of Texas and to the South Central region, the Guadalupe River area. We all know this past 4th of July weekend, there was terrible flood, terrible tragedy, just an act of nature. No one could have prepared for it. And we just offer our thoughts and prayers, and we'll pray for that. And in those moments of tragedy and sorrow, and as we all take time to mourn the losses and the loss of life, you know, we always look for a glimmer of hope. We always look for gratitude. Things to be thankful for. There's Scott Ruskin, the Coast Guard officer. He's from New Jersey. He was stationed in Corpus Christi. He was the first person on scene. He flew out of Corpus Christi. It took him 6 hours by helicopter to even get to the site due to the weather. And he's been credited with saving over 165 lives. They dropped him from an airplane. He's called a helicopter rescue swimmer. Imagine being dropped into that water, into that area, lowered down on cables with baskets, trying to get people lifted up. And as he got to the camp with some of the frantic kids that they could find, trying to organize them, he was in charge of triage, treating wounded, trying to get people stabilized, get them to as high as ground as they could. And he worked diligently. So we need to show gratitude and be thankful for people like that who put their lives on the line to save as many as they can in the face of a horrible tragedy. And there's been a lot of others, a lot of volunteer organizations, a lot of workers, the old Cajun Navy that grabs all their private boats and heads that way and starts going up and down looking for people. We need to pray for them. We need to thank God for them and show gratitude. Today's message is gratitude. Gratitude is defined as to show appreciation and return kindness. So what small things irritate you? You got a pet peeve? What irritates you? Somebody squeezes the toothpaste in the middle. You always go from the end down. Somebody uses something or borrows something, they don't return it. Or you're in your house, and it's a simple rule. Kids, if you move it, put it back where you found it. You open a drawer, you close a drawer, right? And don't touch the thermostat and the remote control. I'm in charge of those things, right? We all have these pet peeves. Your fast food was too slow. Your app took a few seconds to load. You just don't have the time to watch that spinning dial. You got up this morning, you had nothing to wear. Your closet's so tight, you have to wedge your hands in there, but you got nothing to wear. And you got a closet in the guest bedroom that's full, and you got your winter clothes packed in storage somewhere, but you got nothing to wear. How many people have kids that complain, Mom, there's nothing to eat? Pantry's full. Couldn't put anything in, couldn't put a box of Nutty Bars in there if you tried. You open the fridge, couldn't slide another gallon of milk in there, but your kids will say there's nothing to eat. We got nothing to eat, we got nothing. See, it's too easy to complain about what we think we don't have instead of thanking God for what we do have and what He's already given us. A lady from Illinois recently wrote, she had a church event for single moms. And she wasn't rich, wealthy, filthy rich, but she was well off, so she wanted to sponsor this picnic for all the single moms that were raising kids in a single household to give them a day away and a break. So they had a picnic at a local park, and she paid for all the hot dogs, all the hamburgers. She bought the potato salad, the chips, traditional picnic. They had a wonderful time. At the end of the day, when it was time to clean up, the single moms all started packing over the leftover food and putting together their little take-home cartons. And this lady said, her name was Judy, and she was cleaning everything up, and they were divvying up the food. And when everybody left, she put the stuff in the car. She realized no one packed any food for her. Even though she'd bought it, provided all of it, no one thought to get her a portion. And she got in her car and she kind of felt slighted. And then she had an aha moment from God. She thought, I really don't need any more potato salad. And I just got blessed by a great day of doing something good for people. How often must God feel slighted when He bestows so much enormous generosity on us that we don't take the time to say thank you and show gratitude? And at that moment, she bowed her head and gave thanks to God for the opportunity to serve others and for the blessing she did have for having the resources and the ability to share with others. And giving thanks, she realized, eliminates stress, worry, anything like that. Because stress and worry cannot occupy the same space as gratitude and thankfulness. Your mind does not work that. There's different, scientists have proved, different parts of the mind control those thoughts and emotions. And by simply giving thanks, by showing gratitude to God in that moment for the blessing she did have, she regained her perspective and realized how much she had to be thankful for, and any feelings of worry, stress, being slighted, whatever it was, simply faded away. Psalms 107:1 says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever." Truth is, everything we have is a gift from God. Problem is, the world wants to force us to live in an entitlement culture where we too often believe we deserve certain things. You ever got something you said, I deserve that? I deserve it. I deserve that. I've worked hard. That's mine. Every blessing that we don't turn into praise turns into pride. You ever say, I earned it? Oh, I earned that. That wasn't given to me. I earned it. I deserved it. I earned it. I worked for it. It's mine. Me, me, me. That's pride talking. Versus God provided all the provisions and aligned everything up to provide you that resource or that gift or that blessing at that particular point in time. The flip side of the I deserve it, I earned it mentality, the flip side of that's jealousy, where you look at somebody else and what they have. Jealousy is defined as counting someone else's blessings instead of your own. Instead of counting your blessings, you start chalking up what everybody else has been blessed with, and jealousy sets in. And then the pride sets in. Proverbs 16:18 says, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Haughty is defined as arrogantly superior. So when we allow our pride or a superior attitude that I deserve something more than somebody else, or why do they have that versus me, we lose our gratitude. The Bible warns us, destruction's right around the corner. A fall's coming. Be careful, tread lightly. But the world says, I want it now. Then I'll be satisfied. I love the definition that discipline's choosing what you want the most over what you want now. I may want dessert now, or pizza now, or Taco Bell now, but what I really want the most is to lose some weight, get in better shape, reduce blood pressure, and be healthy. I may want that new pair of Air Jordans that just got released. Or if you're from Oklahoma, you want the SGA new Converse shoes. But what I really want most is pay off that credit card debt and quit overspending by stuff I want versus stuff I need. The prodigal son in the book of Luke is a perfect story, an example of this. You see, he wanted to enjoy the moment now, not after he earned it and not after he paid his dues. He learned that we don't become joyful and then show gratitude and thanks. We show gratitude first. Then we experience joy in our lives for all of God's blessings. So in Luke 15, 12 through 13, so to set the backdrop, this father had a successful business, was a wealthy guy, and he had cattle, and he had people that worked for him. He had two boys, an older son and a younger son. And in verses 12, 13, Luke chapter 15, the younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. Now, did you catch that? Give me my share of the estate. He'd already claimed entitlement. He hadn't worked. Dad built the enterprise. Dad built the cattle. Dad built the ranch. Dad built this. But it was in his mind, he was already entitled to my share. Give me my share of the estate. So the dad divided his property between them. And not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, and he set off for a different country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. So he got his stuff before he put the time in, before he put the work in. And like most young people, they're really not, we were all that same way. We're not that much responsible when we're bestowed a bunch of wealth or riches or money. So what did he do? He did what most of us would do. Took a vacation, went to a different country and partied it up. Paid for everything, threw the late night parties, was impressing the girls, impressing his homies, getting the cops called on him every night because it was too loud, and he was blowing through the money. and not working and not being responsible. And pretty soon he ran out of cash, and then something happened. A famine hit the land. The economy went into a recession. There was no work. He eventually got a job with a local guy feeding their pigs. Lowest form of servanthood. He became a servant and was feeding pigs. And he realized the pigs had more food than he had. He came from a wealthy family. He had resources. He was in a good position. But he squandered it all. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go back home. I'm going to beg my dad for forgiveness. And maybe he'll let me work for him, because I know my father feeds his servants extremely well, and they're all well taken care of. I deserved it. I earned it. I'm entitled to it. Got him in trouble. Next time you catch yourself thinking that or saying that, stop and give thanks instead. So the young man goes home expecting, I'm going to follow, I'm going to really beg forgiveness. And the father sees him in a distance and begins to give thanks, because he didn't, he hadn't received a text. He hadn't got anything from his son, and all this time he didn't even know if his son was alive. And what did the father do? Did he go scolding? Did he go berating? He grabbed the best robe, and he went and wrapped his son in the robe, and he put the family ring on his finger, and he told the servants, break out the best beef we got. We're grilling tonight. We're charcoaling. We're having a party. My son was lost, and now he's been found. And the story has a second part. Remember, the prodigal son had an older brother. And the older brother had stayed loyal and worked hard, putting his time in. And as he came in from the fields that night, he heard the commotion. He heard the party. He heard the music. He could smell the food. He asked somebody, what's going on? What are we celebrating? They said, you haven't heard? Your brother came home. Your brother returned. And the older son got really mad, very angry. And he started to pout. And he went to his room and he closed his door and he said, I ain't going to that party. And he forgot to be grateful that his brother was back. His brother had been found. His brother had learned from his mistakes. His father was happy. So his father had to go knock on the door because the son forgot to be grateful, and it creates a dangerous mindset. He was letting jealousy and envy set in. And it's been said, comparison is the thief of happiness. We should be lifting each other up and wishing the best for each and every one of us and our fellow co-workers and our family members. And yet the older brother was bitter. And the dad went and talked to him and said, hey, come to the party. Everybody's asking where you're at. Your brother's back. And in Luke 15:29, but he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. You never even gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my close friends. He forgot to be thankful for what he had and started focusing on what he wanted. And the father responded very wisely in verses 31 through 32. He said, my son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and he's alive again. He was lost and now he's found. So let's always be thankful for the blessings when they show up in our lives. And let's give thanks first. You see, Jesus mirrored this for us. He actually showed us how to give thanks first, to say thank you. In John 6, 8 through 11, the story of Jesus feeding 5,000. So another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke, said, here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? So Jesus is speaking to what the Bible says is 5,000 men. Well, they didn't count women and children back there in total. So it's really 5,000 households. So the total people could be 12, 15,000 people possibly. And it was getting late in the day, and the disciples were getting hungry, and it's probably hot, and they're tired, and they're standing in the background as Jesus is preaching to a large crowd. They're like, hey, everybody's getting hungry. In fact, I'm pretty hungry too. Man, yeah, Chick-fil-A sounds pretty good right now. What are you thinking? Well, we got all these people here, and he keeps talking. What are we going to do? Well, I ain't paying for everybody. I ain't got that kind of cash. We need to break this thing up. Well, you go tell him. Go tell him it's time to shut it down. No, you go tell him. Well, you tell him. You thought it. I mean, so they're over here on the side debating, and they finally say something. Hey, Jesus, people are getting hungry. It's getting late in the day. We probably need to get everybody home so they can get some food and rest. He's in the middle of sharing the gospel, and they're worried about, they're getting a little hungry and getting a little tired. So he says, well, go out in the crowd and see what kind of food you can find. They found one boy who had 2 fish and 5 loaves. Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place. When they sat down, about 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. So what's important here, there's a phrase with 2 commas, gave thanks. Then he distributed the food. You see, Jesus knew his Father was going to provide and the miracle was about to happen, but he didn't rush into the miracle. He didn't say, watch this. He didn't just start divvying out the food. He stopped and he paused and he gave thanks before the blessing even arrived, before the food even multiplied. He gave thanks first. He showed gratitude. Then God provided the blessing. And he mirrored that for us. So many times we're in need, we think we don't have enough, and we're waiting for the blessing before we give thanks, and it needs to be reversed. We need to learn to trust in God as our provider, give thanks for what he's about to do, and then the blessing will come. And what's so cool about this story, if you remember, the 12 disciples were over here wanting to shut the party down, right? They were questioning what they were going to do, how they were going to feed everybody, how they were going to pay for it. They wanted to send everyone home. Well, watch what happened starting in verse 12. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. 12 baskets. 12 disciples complained about not being enough to feed the people. You think Jesus made a point here? I got 12 doggy bags for you. You don't think my Father's got enough? We just fed 5,000 people, and here, you all can each have a doggy bag and take it home with you. We got exactly 12 leftover packs here. I could just hear him taking those silver little solo deals and snapping that plastic lid on and saying, here you go. There's yours to take home. God always provides, and we should be thankful. And what's even a bigger thing, in verse 14, he provided because they wanted to break it up. But listen to what happened. In 14, after the people saw the sign Jesus performed, they begin to say, surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world. The disciples were going to shut it down. And the 5 loaves and the 2 fish was big. But when it was all said and done, that crowd saw a miracle. What do you think that crowd did? They went back to their communities and back to their homes, and the gospel began to spread like wildfire. By not sticking through it and continue to work and showing thanks and being grateful for what was going on, they almost missed a blessing that could change the world. And there's an unsung hero in that story, the little boy's mom. Think about that little boy's mom. He got up that morning and said, hey, Mom, I'm going to go listen to this new teacher guy, Jesus. Pretty cool. Got a poster on my wall. He's a rock star. I'm going to go. And she said, well, before you go, let me make you a little lunch. And she packed him a lunch, be home by dark, send him on his way. Think about that mom when the little boy came home and said, how's your day? You ain't going to believe it, Mom. Remember that lunch you packed me? Yeah, Jesus fed 5,000 people with that. She did a mundane, ordinary task as a loving mother, and Jesus even took it when she couldn't see it and didn't even know what was going on that morning. She had no idea that Jesus was going to feed 5,000 people because she did what she was supposed to do. And the son was willing to share. And Jesus took the blessing, but he gave thanks first, and then God multiplied. So in closing, I read this the other day about gratitude. At its core, gratitude is about noticing the good in your life, no matter how small. When you intentionally focus on what you're thankful for, your brain starts to pay attention to more positive details around you. It's not that life suddenly becomes perfect. Instead, your perspective shifts. You begin to see opportunities, blessings, and joys that were easy to overlook beforehand. When you're focused on what you appreciate, it's harder to dwell on everyday worries or frustrations. Instead of spiraling into negative thoughts, gratitude helps anchor you in the present. And in closing here, one final thing. If you struggle with gratitude, you focus too much on your problems and your shortcomings, and you miss out on the everyday little simple blessings like, I got a job to go to today, I got a roof over my head, I've got dinner, I got people waiting on me at the end of the day. Somebody today came with a problem, and I prayed for a close friend. Start a gratitude journal. Keep a pen and paper before you go to bed at night. Before you say your final prayer and close your eyes, write three things down you're grateful for. Just think of 3 things that happened during the day. I got to go to Bible study this morning. I had lunch with a friend. I had an anniversary dinner with my wife. I got to talk to my kids today. Whatever it might be. There's always, think of 3 things so you don't go to bed worrying about the problems of the day and worrying about what tomorrow may hold. You can rest, showing gratitude in your prayers for what you have today. Continue to pray for the people in Texas. Continue to be thankful and show gratitude for what you have throughout this week. God bless, and we'll see you next Wednesday.